Master Chief vs Doomslayer is the embodiment of a good Dead Battle episode. Its qualities range from solid to amazing, while its downsides range from slightly annoying to obnoxious, and that's perfectly fine. Not every single episode needs to make me question whether it's a 10 or an 11, you know? Hell, if it got to the point where this is Dead Battle's current form of just good, then I'd say the show is in an amazing state right now. Quicker and less thorough review than usual, but hey, not every episode needs a full essay for me to highlight its awesomeness. Sometimes things are just short and simple, you know? Kinda like the action of pressing like and subscribe. Thanks. Onto the video. The way I would describe these two breakdowns goes as follows. Master Chief's analysis kinda feels like a school essay, you know, made under certain regulations and with a very rigid structure. It does the job just fine, but it lacks that personal, unrestricted element, you know, which is all over Doom's breakdown. I wanna say it feels weirdly nostalgic, like nearly every single used clip and reference in these breakdowns is a classic from around the 2000s. From Orton, Home Alone, Terminator, Austin freaking Powers, meaning that they managed to convey actual nostalgia better than the Cole vs Alex. Props for finding Halo-esque background music, the infantry joke has no business being this funny, and young John giving major Kid Boba Fett vibes. Maybe just me getting too woke, but I could never see myself getting into this series due to the whole edgy early 2000s survival of the fittest thingy it pushes into the main guy's backstory. It's just not my thing, and I have no idea how much Halo glorifies or admonishes this aspect of the character, so I'd be happily proven wrong in the comment section. Mjolnir jokes in 2025 are unbelievably annoying, but it does serve the purpose as a temporary break from all the lore dump the breakdown was kinda getting into. I do like the usage of the novel to shake things up a bit, how oddly refreshing it is to have grounded power scaling stats like keeping up with cheetahs or lifting tanks, and I mean, okay, the previous episode was semi-grounded too, but we still had a multi-continental fella in that one. Lots of guns later, and we end by delving into how powerful and impressive Cortana is, which, like, sure, and I fully believe that her Akin Vega, a freaking god turned AI, either hypothetically or in the fight itself. Shame she's kinda left aside as a footnote at the end though. It felt very, alright Cortana, she's busted, she's busty, went evil and she got a new one. Alright, done. I'll admit, I do like the honorary way they end the Chief's analysis, with the honorable military trumpets and epithet of savior of the galaxy. Slayer's breakdown wasted zero time letting you know how much cooler things are gonna get from now on though. Look, I'm sure there's ways to introduce Halo in captivating fashion, but until we reach something on the same level of here we are on the 2 moons of Mars and both of them are haunted by demons, don't call me. Yeah, this entire breakdown is just the embodiment of the words hell yeah. It just feels as if everyone involved clearly had more fun writing, editing and voice acting this. Maybe I'm completely off the mark though. Kinda like the ad placement. My favorite joke is them calling Slayer a combination of Jason and Terminator, because technically yeah, on one hand we got a faceless slasher on a quest for vengeance, and on the other we have a gun-toting hyper-masculine juggernaut. Who else but Slayer? Also yeah, hiding numbers for later remains an obvious telltale sign of who the winner is, but like, it's Master Chief vs Doomslayer, it's not exactly a mystery. First things first, I think everyone, myself, my past self included, needs to apologize to Devil Artemis, because him and David Fisher, aka SXR, cooked and delivered with this animation. Like, historically, this team up always resulted in peak fiction Dead Battle animations, and this one was no exception. Not gonna lie, at first I thought Devil Artemis handled a relatively calmer first half, you know, as a well-deserved break after his previous bombastic outings, but no. My man over here came in hot and animated the second half, which was just as glorious as the first, which was animated by Fisher, albeit for different ways. The blue-tinted Halo-inspired first half shines in the equal grounds department, giving Chip lots to play and strategize around the absolute doomsday incarnate he's been put up against, while the L-tinted Spawn Rider cameo-having second half is just pure, unadulterated doom goodness. Without either the fluidity of the animation or the choreography of the fight scenes losing a single point from start to finish. Just mwah, 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 for both animators for making me fall in love with 3D fights all over again. And yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. I remember recently talking to someone who wasn't too fond of Bill's portrayal in Bill vs Discord, saying he deemed the presented character to be more like mainstream Bill instead of canon Bill. In a very similar vein, and even without being a Doom expert by any means, I can't shake off the vibes that the presented Doomslayer in this animation is less canon Doomslayer and more so meme Doomslayer. You know the one. Rip and tear until it's done, as they mercilessly his daughter, anything that slightly annoys him, almost as if it was on little on-site settings the whole time. You know, like in this fight, shooting without hesitation, breaking the temporary truce they form with their fellow humans to literally slay demons together, and well, the entirety of this. And you cannot tell me that these two moments weren't a reference to this meme. Now, I'm not saying canon Doomslayer is usually the kindest soul out there, bunnies and dogs notwithstanding, but let's just say that unless you are a little hellspawn, he will just leave you alone. When he decides that he won't leave you alone, however, then you're up against a full-blown, relentless juggernaut that won't stop coming, which was showcased perfectly in this exchange. In a battle where both first-person shooters keep pulling weapons out of their behind, Slayer being like, "I said I fucking chainsaw you," was just awesome. I really dig this scene subtly displaying Mjolnir's durability when it gets bullet sprayed against the wall. The precision with how it kicks up a weapon covered by a rat that's apparently an Halo 2 meme. The cleverness in him using the grenade recoil to escape the blade clash, or throwing the forklift with Isabel in it so that Slayer has to focus on that instead of blocking the grenade. Based on this animation alone, I can 200% believe Chief being a master tactician deserving of his fame and reputation. Like, if this wasn't Doom fucking Slayer, he would be in control here. Now, I know a lot of people don't have the fondest memories of the previous Death Battle episode that the winner triumphed without taking a single scratch from the loser, but believe it or not, I actually think this dynamic works extremely well here. It felt less out of spite towards Chief and more so to tell a story, one called Doomslayer is indeed built like that. Headshot, headbutt, blow him up, he jumps out of it ready to blow shit up. Deprive him of his AI? Hey, I don't think he's gonna particularly need it. The more the fight goes on, the clearer it becomes that Master Chief is fighting for his life, emptying gun after gun and depleting shield after shield, but Slayer, this is just a Tuesday for him. The divinity machine made him basically an ageless, needless being who requires no food, water or rest to keep on going, and that was displayed perfectly in this animation. Of course, the other side of the coin is that we've had fights with an arguably infinite difference in power, Galactus vs Unicorn, Spawn vs Ghost Rider, or similar levels to the general stompiness, Maito vs Shigaraki, Joker vs Giorno, that were either portrayed as more balanced in the animation or gave the loser more of a winning edge in the fight. So I can fully understand that this approach that went for Chief Slayer just wasn't your thing. Regarding the AI clash, not gonna lie, Cortana doesn't actually do a lot. I do really like the subtle detail of Vega being much more rudimentary and robotic compared to the relatively sassy Cortana, signaling her as the more advanced of the two, and on that note, her shutting down the god-turned Siri like it's any other normal Tuesday, while Master Chief is on the polar opposite end of that quote, is both badass and kinda funny. I mean, for all Cortana knew, Vega could have been the power source of Slayer's strength via his suit or something. Apparently she translates Chief's thoughts into motion, uniting the man and machine as one, so it's not wild for her to think removing Vega from the equation would help. That's a signature, the fact that it didn't is a miniature holy shit crossover moment on its own right there. I think this battle gets extremely close to portray an equal amount of representation for both series. We have a POV shot for Slayer at the end of the first part, one for Chief to signal the beginning of his end, how both of their iconic cover arts are replicated, meme creatures for their series make an appearance, grappling hook for evasion versus grappling hook for stabby steps, but unfortunately for the most part, and besides the vibe at the very start, I can't help but point out that there's a lot more Doom-isms than Halo-isms in there. It does fit with the team clearly having more fun on that side of things than the other, but still, interesting to point out. By the way, why does the night sky in Hell look so breathtaking? No wonder Spawn and Ghost Rider moved to this version of Hell instead. They got the demo version. Yeah, I'm not exactly in the minority when I say that the temporary truce is an easy contender for the best part of this fight. I love the subtle difference in their approach, with Master Chief delivering clean headshots like a space John Wick, while Mr. Whip and Tear does what he does best. Fun fact, if you listen closely to it in scene, you will hear Master Chief quietly whispering fuck as he looks away from certain death. Okay, seriously though, between the Spider-Man nod and the sheer silence of Slayer slowly turning towards Master Chief with murderous intent as he grabs his arm is just... I don't think it should be as funny as it is, but it simply is. Great job by the way, Cortana. Sure, kill the AI that Slayer was so attached to that he made a backup for it before sacrificing himself in canon. I'm sure losing a loved one would definitely make Slayer an easier opponent to fight. This scene. Just this scene right here, I swear, this entire scene just existing elevates this entire episode for me. Wanna know why? Layers. Layer 1, it's a callback to Master Chief doing exactly that in the first episode, and it serves to perfectly convey where the pendulum currently swings regarding who's the super soldier and who's basically just a normal guy by comparison, except there's a downright godlike difference now. Layer 2, it homages the RPG outrunning glitch from the earlier Doom games, except it's treated as something Deadass canonically do. I mean, look, he outpaces meteors, it's not out of the question. Slayer being just as fast as he is strong also matches most Doom gameplays I've seen, so that's a bonus. Layer 3, it plays into Doomslayer being vastly more dangerous and powerful than any weapon he could ever wield. He canonically uses weapons on demons solely because his hands are just too quick. I am not pulling your leg. Layer 4, just how much this scene completely flips the power dynamics of this fight. Up until this point, Chief and the audience surely got the impression he was up against a tank, mighty but slow, a wall to parkour over. Then he casually reveals to be broken enough to catch up to a freaking rocket and throw it back with enough force and power that it never lost any of its original momentum. Just imagine what must have been going on in Chief's mind during these brief seconds. The way he gets up right here, this is a man who knows he's about to die. Layer 5, why did these horror matchups get one of the best portrayals of speed in Dead Battle history? Like, I'm not complaining in the slightest, because the sheer what the fuckiness of it all only makes it better. But like, the blink and you miss it way it zooms past, the way the visuals and sound design twist like crazy to convey breaking the sound barrier, the slow complete realization of what Slayer is aiming to do right before he does it, like, he locked in is an expression created for this moment, for both the characters and animators. Layer 6, this scene is just epically funny. If I could put the most awesome moments in Dead Battle history on the right, and the funniest moments in Dead Battle history on the left, this scene would be placed at the dead center. The sheer sudden ridiculousness of it, the fact that Slayer could have simply shot another rocket and went for being extra instead, the silent bafflement in John Halo's reaction, the growl as if to say, I did not fucking fire my shot for it to not hit you, goddammit. It's just, it goes hard and it's funny as hell. What more can you want? If you're like me, you're probably wondering why an intense matchup like this one has a part that sounds like this. Apparently this part references Breaking Benjamin's song Blow Me Away, which was featured in Halo 2. Now, I don't remember the last time a Dead Battle track referenced quote-unquote official music, you know, not 1% related to either of the starring franchises, and I'm not saying video game music ain't real music, especially with a mashup between Halo's Heavenly Choir and Doom's heavy metal chanting straight out of hell is ironically fittingly divine to listen to. Halo to Hell is one of the few Dead Battle tracks I can safely say works both on its own as background music during the fight and background music during the post-analysis session. Like, those majestic choirs still going out as fuck in the background as they were going over the Crucible's attack potency made it feel as if I was listening to a biblical revelation or something. To top it all off, This track features both the Death Battle fanfare and David Levy, one of the composers behind the Doom Eternal DLC music. Between that and the fact that you can hear Kar and Tuk, a chant that literally translates to rip and tear in the fictional language of the Doom franchise, I think it's pretty safe to say this track's DNA was mostly Doom-centric. All of my praise still stands, make no mistake, but I find the track art strangely interesting to think about. You know, sometimes the cover art for certain matchup themes tells a story on its own. Dust No Moon could be interpreted as Anakin and Obito either letting go or telekinetically pull closer mementos of their former selves, as a nod to both their fall and redemption. Retro Rivals references both the iconic rivalry between Mario and Sonic and this being the 100th episode milestone. Forever Terror Knight, inside the eternal stalemate these two scaredy dogs would be stuck while fighting and used as being the true main villain of this conflict. But most importantly and more relevant to this episode, Stomp episodes are usually pretty sincere about what's gonna unfold. Be it Omni-Man's logo ominously looming over Homelander's eagle in Diabolical Invisible Me, or Fury Bowser sucking up all of Eggman's tech and power-ups like a space-time singularity for Game Over. For Halo 2 Hell, however, despite not exactly hiding how much Doom takes over Halo in either the episode itself or the musical track, features an interestingly even portrayal of the signature helmets being damaged and accompanied by each other's iconic laser sword, giving us a clash that the fight itself apparently forgot to do. I just really like that they went for the respectfully portraying the two as equal gaming icons approach instead of, I don't know, showcasing the Crucible being ominously reflected on Master Chief's helmet or something. I guess it sorta balances out the doominess this episode otherwise favors for the most part. Speaking of balancing out ideas, the narrative theme for this fight is not straightforward. It can't be magic versus science because sure, Doomslayer uses a lot more of the former, but they kinda both rely on tech on one way or the other. I could go for force versus finesse, where the clash between destructive potential and technical skill reminded me a lot of Rick Sanchez versus the Doctor, albeit with an obviously very different outcome. But what I deem the perfect choice for this matchup is Soldier versus Warrior. Master Chief relies on his training, smarts and arsenal, whereas Doomslayer is the arsenal, a rage-fueled war machine hell-bent on killing demons for thousands of years. And not while lacking training, mind you, more so, let's just say usually goes for now I split you over I know jujitsu. Alrighty, no more beating around the bush. Sometimes the journey is more important than the destination, but the destination in this case was one kinda everyone saw coming. And it's been a while since I've read a death that split the community in two, like full on divisive, rather than everyone being mad for slightly different reasons. Let's look at the positives. Master Chief literally going down guns a-blazing as he's being get over here across the air does go hard as hell. Spartans don't surrender and Chief literally did all he could humanly do to embody that oath. It's not his fault that you can't judo chop a tornado, you know? Great sound design to have his suit blare alarm sounds while Slayer performs his fatality because let's be honest, for the worst of the best, that's exactly what it was. Even got an end screen at the end and everything. And you can't deny the pure black comedy of Cortana asking, "Chief, are you still there?" seconds before he stopped being there. Or well, being in general, I guess. And yes, after a season worth of simple and quick kills, this one sticks out rather evidently. Depending on where you sit on this topic, you're either gonna be, hey, well, duh, it's brutal, it's Doomslayer, sorry it's not Silver Hunter or Gutsitri or Tan Jonathan, or B, well, just because it's brutal doesn't mean it's accurate, and not gonna lie, no, I wasn't expecting anything particularly respectful or heartfelt, knowing who was gonna win this, but the ones that immediately spam glory kill gifs in response to people even slightly criticizing this also get kinda annoying, not gonna lie. A lot of things on this episode stick around the words yes but. Chief example being, yes, Doomslayer doing a brutal kill is in character to both him and the franchise, but is also usually swift and efficient, and many see him slice Chief's arms, snap his neck, decapitate him, explode him like a power tower, and then use his head like a trophy as a bit much. For reference, when he killed the in-universe Satan, it was just a singular stab to the chest. On the other side of things, however, it has been a while since the last brutal death. Like, technically 2-3 seasons, and for a good chunk of the show's duration, especially in the classic eras, over-the-top deaths were kinda a staple for the series. And this is the one they decided to bring back that energy for. Was it a good move? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Because the curse of people like me is that you fully understand where both sides are coming from. I've even seen one suggest that Slayer went so over the top because the Chief just refused to stay down, but like, I can only sorta maybe ish see that, but I also get if you don't. Also, we all know that these demons at the end are screwed, right? Not because of the Slayer, but the rat has survived a 3-2L plus a BFG explosion, and is now here to deliver some heads. The post-fight analysis is honestly way more interesting to delve into than I thought. It was very weird how they didn't give Chief the tactical intelligence advantage, despite the animation very much showcasing that from start to finish. Usually it's the animation that goes against what's said in the breakdowns. That's usually for time constraints. And I cannot help but feel like the AI point was somewhat of a pity one, as I didn't really depend on Chief himself. Still, it wouldn't have hurt if he got 2 advantages here at least, or an actual result screen. The next points I want to go over are all positives, starting with gameplay scaling. In many strange ways, this episode is sorta like the good twin of Kratos vs Asura, especially the lore scaling department. I know, everyone and their uncle wanted multiversal doomslayer to teabag on war level masterchief or something, but honestly, I am quite fond of the downplayed Slayer they went with. No taking metaphors, hyperbole and cosmology stuff as face value, nothing as wacky as lifting your arm to block the sun means you're faster than light, no disinterest towards proper context, just what these fellas can do and the gameplay wise and which parts of the lore support it. Sure, the winner is still just as obvious, but I'll always pick the less boring option than the other. The end result is a Slayer who is just nebulously way stronger than his opponent, with a brief but nice look into the similar arsenals as Halo 2L just goes heavily hard in the background. And yeah, I don't really have a bonus chapter for this review, but I might just leave you for this clip from a certain reaction channel that I think definitely hits the nail on the head regarding this episode. I'm Marco Crichton, I hope I made your day slightly less doomier.
Yeah.
They still made a really great battle out of it, even though the odds seemed so stacked in Doom's favor. They still managed to pull out a great fight for this.